So with that said, I am going to start. All right. So we're going to do a big presentation review and introduction on the products that I have already mentioned. So we're going to talk about these 4 products, but we are also going to figure out the conditions that these products really serve, right? And what they do best with these particular situations the skin may actually face. So with that said, we'll start with the hydrating sunscreen SPF 40 plus with blue light shield. By the way, I know that in Europe, the term blue light is not as common. It's more like HEVL, right? It's the same. HEVL stands for high energy visible light, and we call it blue light here in America, but it's the same. All right. So let's talk a little bit about sun exposure and what happens with that. So as we know, there are good things and not so good things about sun exposure. Of course, we love sun, we love the summer, we love the way we feel when we're under the sun, but we have to be careful. We have to be really careful because the sun can actually cause a lot of problems. All right, so let's look into the good things or the positive aspects of being under the sun, right? So we have vitamin D production, the warmth that the sun actually creates, especially when you are in those northern latitudes where it's so cold in the winter, you just miss the sun, right? Because in many days could be overcast. I mean, you can have beautiful blue skies, but very cold. And sometimes people just feel like the sun needs to be out there. It makes you feel good. So that's why that there's that psychological effect, right? The sun makes you feel happy. It makes you feel energized. It makes you want to do things. When it's overcast and you don't see sunlight, you want to stay home. You feel like, you just don't want to go out. So this is why the sun is so necessary for human life. And of course, there's also one good thing too. In very moderate doses, it can help with certain skin conditions. You see, like people with psoriasis, sun can help. People with, let's say, for example, acne, as you may have experienced, sometimes people go out in the sun when they have acne lesions and they see that their acne lesions improve, right? But it's not because of the sun itself, but because of what the sun does to the bacteria on the surface of the skin. So, but we can talk about that later. Anyway, the most important thing here is to figure out that we need the sun. However, we cannot overdo it, because if we overdo it, or if we actually abuse it, we can have the negative aspects that you see here on the slide. On the slide, you see that it can induce photodermatosis, of course, which is, an inflammation or a condition caused by sunlight on the skin. All right. It is the major cause of skin cancer. We know that. So we have to be very careful about overexposure. Also, as you know, UV light is the main reason for accelerated skin aging. So this is why we need to also control our timing under the sun. Too much sun over time, will accelerate aging. It will make the skin look older. And the reason is because of what the sunlight contains, and that's UV light, right? Of course, you have other components to sunlight. Sunlight, if you break it down, it has so many different types of rays, but not all of them are bad for us, or not all of them actually reach out to us. However, UV light, infrared, blue light, which also comes from the sun, or HEVL, etc. Those rays can actually cause different kind of changes to our skin. Some of them not so good. So this is the reason why we need to make sure we limit the time we are spending under the sun. We also have to actually consider the fact that many age spots, right, on the face, on the hands, etc., can actually happen because of sun exposure, or the sun could be the trigger for those spots to actually manifest. And we're talking about hyperpigmentation, right? Now, there are certain situations where you can even develop hypopigmentation, which is the lack of pigment in a specific region of your skin. But for the most part, we need to see that the sun is both good and bad, depending on what we do with it, right? Or how we actually take it in. So here I have a comparison of the two most important UV rays that are given by the sun, the UVA and the UVB. So, of course, there's also UVC, but UVC is not something that we worry that much unless we are in a latitude or at a certain point or time in the year where the ozone layer is very thin. But other than that, we use UVC rays in germicidal lamps, right, to kill bacteria, germs, etc., especially to sanitize components in skincare. They're very common in those little um, light sanitizers that emit that violet light. Now, for the sunlight itself, UVA rays and UVB rays will be present all the time. Now, the only difference is that, of course, UVA rays are present, mostly every time there's sunlight present or outside. It's not so easy to filter this kind of UV ray. It's more prevalent. And as you can see here, it has a very strong presence throughout the entire year. So year round, this UV ray will be present and will be very strong, especially during the daytime. All right. Now, if you are flying, of course, pilots, they know they are also exposed to UV rays, and people who are on planes all the time, they can actually be exposed to UV rays. Um, Now, these UV rays can penetrate through all the surfaces, especially glass. If the surface is, of course, opaque or is a material that doesn't transfer light, then they won't come through. But if they are clear, yes, the UVA rays can come through and they can still, damage the skin. This is why you can still be home, right? You can still be indoors under a ceiling, right, in your home. And if you're sitting next to a window, those UV rays are still coming through, right? If you know what I mean. And this is important to consider. So the difference with UVB rays, though, is that UVB rays are stronger mostly during the summertime when the skies are clear, all right? But they can be very easily filtered. They can be filtered by clouds. They can be filtered by anything that interposes, right? Or is right in front of them, like frosted type of material. They can actually be weakened in that sense. Now, these UV rays are more intense from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you are, let's say, going to the beach at 5 or 6 in the afternoon, there's still sunlight. The UV rays are there, but they're very weak, right? So they won't cause a lot of problems. They can reflect off white, shiny surfaces. And this is the reason why, for example, you can get a burn on your skin while you're at the beach in front, standing on sand, even in the shadow. You can, or if you're in a shade, right, you can actually get a sunburn. And the other problem is that if you go skiing in the winter, and the skies are actually very blue, even if it's very cold, the snow can reflect the UVB rays back onto your skin, and then you can still burn. Now, UVB rays are very strong, and this is important. And this is one of the reasons why they can actually cause a lot of damage. We'll see that in a moment because it's important to understand that skin cancers are very common. And of course, when we are developing a product that is going to actually take care of protecting you from sun damage, we need to consider how much we are going to block or screen of these UV rays, especially UVB rays, which is the reason why sunscreens are, formulated. All right. Now, UVB rays are also strongest at the equator and at high altitudes. All right. So this is important to consider, again, for people who fly a lot, for pilots, etc. Now, the main distinction between UVA rays and UVB rays, which we should never forget, and this is why I make this analogy, is that UVB are much worse for you in terms of health than UVA. UVA, the A, you can relate to aging. When you are exposed to UVA rays, you are going to age faster. All right, so you're going to look, your skin is going to look worse if you are exposed to UVA rays for a long time. However, if you are exposed to UVB rays, B, you could relate it to burning. Burning as in like going to the beach, burning and peeling and all that stuff that is so uncomfortable. But the problem here is that this B rays cause cancer very easily. So both UVA and UVB can cause cancer of the skin, but UVB rays are easier to damage, the skin. And of course, you want to make sure that you are well protected, hopefully from both UVA and UVB, but mostly UVB. So this is why sunscreens have a number that is the SPF, right? And the SPF really refers to the protection against UVB. We'll see that in a moment. Oh, by the way, let's not forget how important it is for us to produce vitamin D, right? So we need sunlight for vitamin D production in our bodies. Now, as you see here, sun damage is the consequence of being exposed to the sun for a long time. So it's the result of exposing the skin to UV light over a cumulative period of time. So usually sun damage is a condition that appears after a long period of time. This can be cumulative since childhood. If you used to go to the pool or to the beach or go in the snow and not protect your exposed areas very well, then you are going to suffer the cumulative effect of sun, damage on your skin later in life. And this is the thing that people don't realize until it's too late. So if you want to like maintain your skin looking really good, you can enjoy sunlight, but you have to take care of yourself and protect yourself. So the problem here is that the damage from sunlight can lead to 90% of visible premature aging signs or accelerated aging. All right, and this is the reason why we want to stay away from excess sunlight. So as you can see here, UV rays promote free radicals that attack and damage DNA. So this is the main issue why UV rays cause so much trouble to us, to the skin and to our health. When they are actually in excess, our body has a system of defense that can neutralize free radicals, but sunlight itself produces, this accumulation of free radicals into our skin. And the problem is that accumulation is going to affect or attack our skin's DNA. And this is the part where things actually change and become really troublesome, because then you can develop a cancer due to a mutation on the DNA caused by the sun exposure. All right. So this is where we have to be very careful. And of course, as a side effect of unprotected sun exposure, this is the worst that can happen, which is the formation of a skin cancer lesion, right? So we have three possibilities when we are exposed to sunlight. Number one, which is immediate, is the sunburn, right? So you go to a place where the sun is shining very strong. You are out there for more than 15 minutes, and then you're going to experience sunburn. But if you are there like every day for months, you're going to have what is possible and known as immediate to long-term damage, which is the appearance of the first signs of accelerated aging. That includes photoaging, wrinkles, pigmentation disorders, and even elastosis, which is when the skin sags, right? And this can happen, later in life. However, that accumulation is already there. So it's very important that people know how to revert that, right? This is why you have to receive treatments, you have to stay away from the sun going further, and, etc. Plus, the long-term damage, right, that you get from sun exposure, which can lead to more photoaging and more skin cancers. So this is something that we want to consider as well. All right. So as you can see here, sunburn is the first step to skin damage, because every time you burn your skin, you are going to cause the skin to inflame. And if you make the skin inflamed, that's going to alter the structure of the skin. It's going to cause the skin to react against itself to protect itself. Okay, so what is the skin going to do? The skin's going to increase circulation as a defense mechanism. It's going to actually swell. It's going to itch. It may get painful. And of course, going to get warm and red. All these, side effects come from UV energy. So this is something we need to, take into consideration. Also, depending on the intensity, as you can see, of the exposure, one person may or may not tan or burn, etc. So that is where the phototype comes into play. So some people with darker skin types will have a much harder time getting tan, and or better said, some people can tan very easily if their phototype is high, but they may not burn as easily as someone with a phototype that is low. Like, phototypes 1, 2, and 3 can actually burn much more easily than phototypes 4, 5, and 6. And this is very, very easy to recognize when you look at the skin and perform an analysis, right, during consultation. For example, people in Scandinavia, people who have very white skin will tend to burn faster than they tan, right? And the burning is what's going to cause most of the problem. So this is why you still have to protect yourself. And if you want to achieve a nice tan, you have to do it very slowly over time and with proper protection. So there are ways to get tan when you have a low phototype, right? 1, 2, or 3, and you want to still be protected and be safe. So this is something to consider. It's all about doing it slowly. So as we know, our body defends itself with an intrinsic mechanism called melanin production, right? So we have melanin in our skin. The melanin is produced by cells at the bottom of the epidermis called melanocytes. And this is our first and most effective method of protection against sunlight. So this is why we actually tan. We tan when we go in the sun after a certain period of time, because the melanin that is produced by the melanocytes is released to actually darken and protect the skin, especially over the cells, or better said, it protects the cells from getting their nuclei damaged. Every cell has a nucleus, and inside the nucleus is DNA. So you want to protect that DNA, and the best way to do that is by allowing melanin to form. All right. So melanin is a natural sunscreen. If you look at it from this point of view, what it does is it absorbs the wavelengths that go between 280 to 320 nanometers. All right. So it's going to actually behave as a natural sunscreen. We will see later on what UVA and what UVB cover, but mostly this is how your skin responds to sunlight. Now, of course, the darker your skin is naturally, not because of achieving it through tanning, but because of being born with it. Someone whose skin is dark by nature will have more protection against UV damage because there's more melanin available in to protect those cells. All right. So that's important to realize. Now, obviously, sunscreens need to be there or exist or be created because the body, as much of a perfect machine it has some flaws from time to time, right? And we know that it cannot take too much abuse. So excess sunlight can still cause a lot of damage. And so we cannot just rely on our natural sunscreen protection for too long. We need to give it some helping hand, if you will, right? So this is why sunscreen formulations are created. Sunscreens are mainly indicated for the prevention of sunburn. And, this is something that people really need to understand, that sunscreens need to be used on a regular basis when you are exposed to sunlight or nowadays to other forms of, wavelengths that can mimic the sunlight. So you see, what happens is that sunscreens do not only protect against, sunburn, but they also protect against premature aging. They protect against skin cancers, and they can do so much more because sunscreens, if they are well formulated and if they're of very good quality, they can actually help to improve the skin condition. You know, make it more moisturized. It can make it, let's say recovered or boosted in terms of vitamin infusion, etc. So it depends on the formulation. So this is why you always need to find a good and very high quality sunscreen formulation. So my recommendation is usually to wear sunscreen daily, right? And the reason is because not only it prevents damaging sunburn, but it also minimizes the risk of skin cancers. It can also reduce accelerated skin aging. It can reduce unnecessary inflammation. It can provide antioxidant protection. It can help prevent skin discolorations. And of course, will keep the skin moisturized, healthy, and young looking. This is important because if you want to remain looking young and good and keeping your skin as healthy as possible for the longest time, you must wear a sunscreen properly. All right. It has to be a good quality sunscreen and it has to be applied properly. Most people who wear sunscreen do not do it well, right? They don't know how to apply the sunscreen properly. They miss out on benefits and the sunscreen just simply underperforms. you know and also the formulation is important because some sunscreens can wash off very easily, very very fast. So there are things that need to be considered, such as how long before sun exposure you should wear your sunscreen, how long or how many times should you reapply the sunscreen after exposure, or if you actually go into the water or if you sweat, etc. Because you don't have to be swimming for the sunscreen to be washed off your skin. You could be just playing outdoors, performing sports, doing anything that is fun, but that can cause the sunscreen to wear out. So I am a big advocate of using sunscreen even when you're indoors, like wearing sunscreen every day, all right? No matter what, no matter if you're going outdoors or not. I mean, I understand that people are very wary of, that sunscreen formulations could be thick, could be clogging to the pores, could be, annoying. And of course, and I understand that if you're wearing a sunscreen from over the counter, you should be concerned up to a certain point, depending on who is the manufacturer, right? And this is important because there was a study very recently done where there was contamination in sunscreens from over the counter with an ingredient called benzene. And benzene is actually a cancerous ingredient. So people were actually wearing sunscreen to feel protected from the sun to avoid skin cancers. However, the sunscreen itself contained the benzene, which can actually cause a cancer. So this is something that you have to be very careful. Unfortunately, some of those are recognized brands. I'm not going to mention many of them, and I shouldn't, but one that comes to mind right now, which is under a little bit of scrutiny, is Neutrogena. All right. So they found that the Neutrogena sunscreen contained benzene in a research study, and that is something that is being currently examined. So hopefully they'll find out that it's just something that went wrong, and they will correct this problem soon. But again, it's very important to wear sunscreens that are very high quality and that that, if possible, contain as many natural ingredients as they could be included in the formula, right? Now, using a sunscreen indoors is important because you never know when you're going to be exposed to sunlight. You could be exposed to sunlight, as I said, while being indoors and sitting next to a window, right? So sunscreens are necessarily made for outdoor use. That's a fact, right? But you should still wear sunscreen before you go outdoors. So when you're indoors, you apply your sunscreen, then you go out, because sunscreen need, at least depending on the type of sunscreen, sometimes there is a timing in between your exposure and the time the sunscreen becomes more effective. That used to be the case for sunscreen that had chemical agents in them, but now the sunscreens are becoming more of a physical nature, meaning like minerals that deposit on the surface of your skin. That time in between is less important. However, I still recommend that for the safety of your skin, you still apply the sunscreen before you go outdoors. All right. Some people say 30 minutes. I say it doesn't have to be 30 minutes, but it's good to actually consider to do it earlier than your sun exposure begins. All right. Another thing that's important is that with the new technology, with the new times that we're living, we are exposed to so many sources of light that can still cause wavelengths or produce wavelengths that are similar to the ones that the sun creates, right? So for example, halogen lights, even though LEDs are much more common nowadays, etc., but halogen lights that are still very, very common in many households because they're modern, types of light bulbs, and they have been so for a few years now, or many years actually. People love those because they're very potent and they emit a very nice source of light, and they're very small, they're very easy to handle. They're not the traditional light bulb, right? But those produce a lot of UVA light that you want to avoid. So if you can't change those, it's important that while you're indoors, you still wear some form of sunscreen. It has to be a sunscreen that is light and that can actually go well with your regimen, your daily skincare routine. But at the same time, you have to consider the fact that we're also exposed to other sources such as big TVs, right, that emit the blue light, computer screens, your smartphone, etc. So as you can see here, there is a lot of UV radiation that penetrates through glass windows when you're home. There's UV radiation that reflects off light-colored and white shiny surfaces like UVB lights can do. There's UVA radiation that is produced by halogen light bulbs and household lamps, which I already mentioned, right? Infrared radiation penetrating through windows and emanating from electronic equipment, appliances, etc. It is very important to mention that infrared radiation causes heat or causes a warming sensation that you can feel, all right? Also, artificial visible light or HEVL or blue light, which already we have talked about, which is produced by screens, TV screens, smartphones, tablets, computer monitors, but also to make mention that blue light, even if you're not exposed to these new technology screens, right? Even if that's the case, you still get blue light from the sun, right? Because HEVL is a wavelength that is included in sunlight. So this is why if a sunscreen contains some sort of HEVL filter or HEVL protection, then you are much better protected against the combination of all these rays that, cumulatively will damage your skin. All right. So due to all these reasons, it is recommended that you wear sunscreen on a daily basis, even if indoors. All right. And this is the reason why I am an advocate of that. I have been doing so for many years. I love sun like everybody else does, but I am very careful. And of course, I use the sunscreen that we have in the company because it makes me feel safe and because I know I am getting a benefit from the sunscreen. It's not just the protection, but also the moisturizing, the repairing, the boosting effect that it's causing to my skin, etc. So this is why you have to really look for a good formulation. So to get to the point of this new sunscreen reformulation that Pevonia launched recently, I just wanted to mention these types of sunscreen agents so we can understand what Pevonia did. So we have physical protection in a sunscreen coming from mineral extracts or ingredients such as titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, right? Those minerals have long been known to be, great sunscreens because they reflect and scatter UV rays. So these are the typical sunscreens that you will see in those pastes that lifeguards wear when they're at the beach, and then they leave that white patch on the face. Of course, if you actually work on those minerals and make them micronized, then you can actually experience the same benefits without the white or ashy look, right? So, of course, the more refined the sunscreen is, or the more high quality, the less you will see this effect of whitening on the face. Still, there will be some whitening, but if you work the sunscreen properly on your skin and apply it the way it should be, then that whitening effect will tend to disappear. There's also sunscreen still in the market with chemical protection, which doesn't mean to be synthetic, but mostly type of protection that is based on sunscreen agents that absorb and transform the UV rays. Those are avobenzone, octinoxate, etc. Those are still in the market, but many countries do not allow them anymore. And certain places where they have like natural flora and fauna, they try to stay away from those and forbid the use of those sunscreens, especially if you are in a protected environment. To say so, if you went to anywhere in the Caribbean where there is a coral reef area, you would not be able to use these sunscreen containing these ingredients like avobenzone and octinoxate, etc., because they would be deemed to be dangerous and damaging to the coral reefs. And so that is something that it's important to know. Now, you also have biological protection, such as in the case of natural ingredients that come from botanical or plant origin or vegetal origin, which can reduce cellular damage in many ways, right? We will see some examples of that in a few moments. And of course, you have some sunscreen products that contain a combination of all these ingredients or many types of different agents, right? So depending on the manufacturer, they can actually choose to include more than one type of sunscreen agent to either boost or enhance the protective effect of the sunscreen, or because that's how their formula goes, right? But in order to know if a sunscreen is effective, you need to understand the meaning of SPF. And so SPF is just a value, it's a number. It's not percentage. The percentage is what that number reflects, right? But the SPF itself is just a number. It's a numeric value, as you see here, and that value expresses the measure of time it will take the skin before it starts to get burnt or starts to get red. All right. So this is mostly measured against UVB type of rays, right? Or UVB light. So this is why when you are talking about an SPF 30 or 40 or 100, right? What you are measuring there is the protection against UVB damage. All right. Now, an SPF is, in other words, to make it simpler, an indication of how long users who apply the sunscreen properly can expect to be safely protected without sunburning. So basically, an SPF 40 means that it will take you 40 times longer, right, to actually burn under the sun if you wear under constant exposure. So what does that mean? It's measured in a matter of minutes. So let's say that if you are very white, you go out in the sun, right? If it takes 10 minutes for you to get red under the sun, let's say you go out and in 10 minutes, boom, you are red. When you're wearing a sunscreen SPF 40, it means that you're going to take 40 times as long as those 10 minutes that make you go red. So what you do is you multiply that number of the SPF by the time that it takes you to get red. So if you get red in 10 minutes, you multiply 40 by 10, it gives you 400, right? So it takes you 400 minutes to get red when you are wearing a sunscreen. And that's basically the meaning of the SPF. So an SPF 15 means it's going to take you 15 times longer. So you multiply 10 by 15 and that will give you 150, right? So 150 minutes, how long is that? That is about an hour, right? And I'm sorry, 2 hours. That's 2 hours. And of course, 30 more minutes. So 2 hours and a half, more or less, of protection with a sunscreen SPF 15. And that is if you are under the sun, and you get red in 10 minutes. So this is important because everybody's different. Some people will get red in longer time. It will not take them 10 minutes. It may take them 20 minutes, right? So the longer you take to get red, the more effective the sunscreen will be on your skin. But the rule of thumb is that if you are very light skinned, then you are going to get red faster than someone with a darker skin. All right. So that's the math that you do here. All right. So now maybe you would think, okay, so if an SPF 40 is good because it gives you 400 minutes, right? Then what about an SPF 100? No, it doesn't work that way, because an SPF is a value that tends to plateau after a certain number of times. So instead of showing what's on the slide here, I'm going to show you this curve. This curve that you see on this graphic, it's much more self-explanatory. So you can see here that this is the correlation with the percentage of screening of UV rays. An SPF 15 will screen about 93% of UV rays, whereas SPF 30 will do about 97. An SPF 50 will do about 98. So an SPF 40, let's say the new Pevonia sunscreen, is right in between SPF 30 and SPF 50, which means it's anywhere between 97 and 98% screening of UV rays, right? And so that means you're very well protected. But what is that plateau on top of it? It means that even if you go SPF 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and 120, and whatever, because some marketing, gimmicks actually exist, you are not going to get any more protection than you're getting with an SPF 50 or 55, to say so. You know what I'm saying? The truth is that an SPF 100 is not going to protect you more than an SPF 50, for example. What it can do is actually maybe it can last a little longer or resist the wash off a little better, just because the sunscreen formula will be thicker, but at the same time, it will be more oily, more clogging. It might not be as good for your skin. It may give you some side effects. So this is why you have to understand that if you do the right things with about an SPF 40 and up, or 40 plus, 40, 50, you are more than very well protected. As a matter of fact, the FDA in America says that an SPF 30 is enough. SPF 30 is more than enough for you to be protected from skin cancer. So the advantage of an SPF of a lower number is that the formula tends to be lighter. It's easier to wear and it's more comfortable. All right. So, it's not so good to go too high, but at the same time, you shouldn't go too low either. All right. So there's a sweet spot. So what is the controversy with sunscreens nowadays? Well, we have the fact that there are some controversies that include the use of nanoparticles in sunscreens. Probably you've heard of that. These are particles that are very, very small and that have been linked to skin damage, because these particles are so tiny that they enter the cells and they can damage the DNA of the cells. All right. So just to let you know, Pevonia does not use the nanoparticle technology. It uses micronization. Micronization makes the size of the particle small enough to enter the skin to where it needs to go, to the target. However, it's not small enough to enter, the nucleus of a cell and go into the DNA. That's not possible. So this is why micronization in this case for sunscreens is much more safe than nanoparticle, sizing. All right. So another thing is the scrutiny on octinoxide oxybenzone, which we already talked about, because we don't want to have those near coral reefs. All right. And also, of course, the fact that there could be bans by sunscreen ingredients by certain governments. So certain governments do not want us to use certain ingredients, and that's why you have to be careful with what you choose as your sunscreen protection. And many sunscreens nowadays still do not offer any protection from HEVL. All right. So even though HEVL is not necessarily that mandatory, it's still an extra boost for your skin health and protection. So in reality, it is very important that you are well protected with the proper ingredients and the proper filters. So the latest concern nowadays is blue light, or HEVL, correct? And that's because, it's much more prevalent from all these electronic screens that are causing the skin to, have a cumulative effect. We haven't really seen it yet, just because, it takes many years for this to happen. And even though the cell phone adoption has been steady for many, many years, the fact that the screens are getting bigger and bigger, right? It's just the fact that started maybe, I don't know, less than 10 years ago. And what that's going to cost or make, and cost the skin basically and accumulate in the future is possibly the onset of pigmentation, accelerated lines and wrinkles, and accelerated aging in general, all of which you could prevent at this point if you had the proper sunscreen. So as you can see here, a study found out that HEVL, of course, is a type of light that is between 380 and 500 nanometers. The problem with that type of wavelength is that it penetrates deeper into the skin. All right, it goes deeper into the skin, so it can go deeper than UVA rays. Because if you see the graphic, UVB rays usually tend to hit the bottom of the epidermis, and that's why it affects the cells at that level, causing cancers and also causing the melanomas, which are very bad, of course, which are a type of cancer, plus pigmentation issues. UVA rays penetrate to the dermis, where they can cause damage to collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, reticulin, etc. And that's why you start aging faster and your skin sags and your skin looks really bad very quickly. But blue light can get past those layers, go into the fat tissue and penetrate even deeper than that. So it will affect all these layers, including epidermis, dermis, etc. So it's important to consider that. Of course, you will have to be exposed to a high level or intensity of these rays. However, over time, I mean, we haven't really measured the accumulation of these into the skin and how they could actually cause a problem later in the future. So it's better to protect yourself at this point as much as possible, because yes, we have been exposed to HEVL since the dawn of time because it's in the sunlight. However, now we are getting both the sunlight plus these electronic screens, which we have very close to our faces every single day, and even at night. Many people go to bed with the blue screen of their phone or tablet in the dark, and that's really, really bad. We know that blue light has affected people's sleep patterns, right? And people can't actually sleep well when they look at that light because it affects melatonin. So it's important to know that you should do something about it. And this is what many companies are working on, of course, trying to get to it from different points of view. Pevonia, in particular, will do it through a very natural means, and that is by using the root extract of a plant called the Withania somnifera, which is also known as ashwagandha, which you may have heard of. Okay, very wonderful antioxidant, and it was actually studied and it showed very good results as far as like recovering the skin, filtering damage by blue light, and repairing the consequence that blue light had caused to the skin. So you can see here the study that was done in vivo, meaning in people, in actual volunteers, where they could see the benefit of using Withania somnifera. Now, Withania somnifera can help the most important organelle in the cell, which is the mitochondria, because the mitochondria is the organelle that is responsible for the formation of ATP or energy within the cell. Without it, the cells cannot do anything because that is the powerhouse that causes the cells to actually do their functions, to actually perform a function. All right. So blue light impairs the functioning, the proper functioning of mitochondria. But if you use Withania somnifera, you can actually fix that impairment. And that's what really counts here. So that extract has been put in the new Pevonia formulation, which is the broad spectrum SPF 40, right? UVA, UVB, and blue light shield protection, right? So what we have in this new product from Pevonia is titanium dioxide with zinc oxide plus the Withania somnifera extract. All right. So this is a very, very complete type of like sunscreen protection because you're going to be protecting against UVA, UVB, and also blue light. So, or HUVL, right? So this is very, very important. At the same time, you will also have protection against infrared. Okay, this is also important because your skin will not feel too warm when the UV rays hit it. So what other ingredients are found in this formulation? Well, we have recovering and repairing ingredients that are important. We have argan oil, we have vitamin E, we have hyaluronic acid, very important for moisture. We have aloe barbadensis, which is of course aloe that you know, very good in healing. We have green tea, a wonderful antioxidant. We have bisabolol, which is an extract from chamomile, which also helps to, soothe and calm the skin. And we have panthenol, which is derivative of vitamin B. And that is very, very good to also prevent discomfort on the skin. So as you can see here, I'm going to go over some of these ingredients a little bit more in detail because it's important to see what they do, right? So the zinc oxide is one of the active ingredients in the sunscreen. And you will see this in many, many sunscreen formulations in the market. So the zinc oxide is a physical sunscreen agent, which is a natural mineral. And it does reflect and scatter UV rays off the surface of the skin. But the most important thing to know is that it blocks or screens or filters the UV rays that are within the 320 and the 400 nanometer wavelength. What that means is that it will take part of the UVB and part of the UVA. All right, so it takes UVB and short and long UVA. So it's a very, very good agent because it protects a broader range of UV rays. So it is also soothing, it is protective in general, of course, and it's safe because it's not in nanoparticle size. The other ingredient that is very well, known and at the same time is a wonderful companion to zinc oxide is titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide, as you can see here, is a physical sunscreen as well, also a mineral, and that does exactly the same as the zinc oxide. However, the range of protection is a little different. It's from 320 to 340 nanometers, right? So it takes a part of UVA and a part of UVB. So again, when you put the sunscreen zinc oxide and the sunscreen titanium dioxide together, you have an overlapping protection, which is so much more effective than if you just use one of them. All right. So it's good to combine them for, super protection because when you apply sunscreen, many areas of your skin may still not be well covered, or you may have like, I would say virtual pores, in the area of application, which will still allow the UV rays to penetrate. So you will have to really be mindful of how these formulations are made and the reason why they are put together like this. Of course, another benefit of titanium dioxide is that it can be used for natural color in a formula. It can have antiseptic properties, which is very important. It is very protective and it's also very safe because it is tested and in the case of Pevonia, it doesn't use nanoparticle size. Now we have, of course, the Withania somnifera extract, which we already mentioned, and we have it in Pevonia because it actually helps to filter HEVL, or high energy visible light, or blue light, right? And the other thing that I like, and we like in general, about this ingredient is how good it is as an antioxidant. So it really helps to prevent accelerated aging, because it pretty much like knocks off, free radical damage. Okay. So it's very, very good, and I really, really like it. And it does support cellular activity and helps the mitochondria. It repairs the damage that you may have already accumulated within your skin over years of sun exposure, plus electronic, screen exposure. So it really is a very safe ingredient. Now, in Pevonia, we use a very specific fraction of this Withania somnifera for the best level of efficacy. And we have the withanolid D fraction, right? And this is part of the ashwagandha root, because there are some components in the ashwagandha root that can be toxic to the skin. And this is why we have to filter and purify and remove those toxic components that could actually hinder the performance of the product or cause any irritation to the skin. So we only use the very safe withanolid D that comes in the actual ashwagandha. And this is what's going to really work the best way to protect the skin. And this is true for many things in nature. Even cashews. If you have ever eaten cashews, if you eat the peel of the cashew is toxic. You should never eat the peel. You should take the peel off and only eat the inside, right? So this is why when we buy cashews, they are normally already peeled. So that's just one example, of course. So argan oil, of course, everybody knows argan. Argan is very well respected in the industry of cosmetics, because argan is very moisturizing. It's a wonderful oil. It's been used in the hair industry in particular for a long time, because it is rich in essential fatty acids and antioxidants. So it repairs the skin very well. It's de-aging. And of course, it has to be from the best source in the world, which is from Morocco. All right. So Pevonia uses argan oil in this particular product, but it does use also stem cells from argan in the stem cells line. All right, it's different because the stem cells are not to be confused with the argan oil. All right, so it's not stem cells from oil or anything like that, because you can't do that. What you get is a derivative of the protein of the argan that we use for the stem cell, products. We have aloe, of course, which is aloe vera, and this is great for healing, repairs the skin, soothes and cools. It's ideal for sunburn recovery, etc. So as you can see here, it's a wonderful ingredient that everybody trusts, and which is the #1 recommended ingredient for sunburn, right? So you use aloe when you burn, okay? And when you sunburn, you also use it too. So the Pevonia sunscreen includes it already. So it's giving you proactive protection and repair. Hyaluronic acid, of course, comes from sugar beets. It's intensely hydrating. It's skin smoothing, de-aging, and protective. You will see in the rest of the presentation with the next products that some of these ingredients will repeat, because of course we use hyaluronic acid in several products. We may use aloe in other products. So those slides will become familiar to you again. I'm not going to repeat myself. So I will just show you that we have the ingredient and skip that slide, because it's the same that we're looking at right now. Okay. Green tea also included, of course, because it reduces irritation. It's a wonderful antioxidant. It has so many vitamins. I mean, green tea has all the vitamins that you could need. So green tea drank as a tea is wonderful. And of course, applied to your skin, it's amazing, because it also helps to combat free radicals. And of course, the sun itself causes the free radicals that can damage the skin really bad. So when you put this together, then you have a wonderful sunscreen that Pevonia launched recently, right? That has an SPF 40 plus defense. We only say 40, but the measurements were over 40 in the lab testing, which what actually means is that it will protect more than 40 SPF. So it's even better than what you're actually being claimed. Now, this Pevonia sunscreen is very effective against skin damage. It's crucial indoor and outdoor protection, ideal for daily use. It's a hydrating and rejuvenating product. It's calming and soothing. It's oceans reef safe. It's homogenized, non-chalky, non-greasy, and it's also wonderful as a superfood because it's a super antioxidant, as we mentioned. All right, so the formulation itself, it's so complete that in your daily routine, you could apply cleanser, toner, a serum, and not even use moisturizer. You could just go straight and wear the sunscreen as your moisturizer. All right. The sunscreen during the day could replace your moisturizer. I mean, for most situations. But of course, if you're using a moisturizer for a specific reason or condition, that's fine. You still use your moisturizer and then you apply the sunscreen. So you will have a fifth product in your routine. But I do recommend it on a daily basis to be mostly protected. Now, if you're wearing sunscreen during the summer, which is when it's much more important, during the winter, maybe you don't need it so much when you're home because you're going to have many days of darkness and not enough sunlight. So it's okay if you're not going to wear it every day in your northern latitudes. But for other cases, and when the sun is shining very hard, you really need to wear it, all the time. So of course we have a self-care technical sheet that shows how to use the product and how to apply it properly and all the properties that come with it, etc. So that is the presentation for the sunscreen portion. Now we are going to see another product, which is the Crepe No More body cream. And this is going to be about protecting and improving your body skin, right? With a very innovative product, which is the Crepe No More body cream containing longan fruit. All right. So what we have here is the Crepe No More body cream in self-care presentation or retail presentation. As you know, a couple of years ago, we actually launched the No Rinse body wraps. The No Rinse body wraps had two varieties, the cactus and agave and the Crepe No More. Those were professional treatments. There still are, they still are professional treatments, but the Crepe No More had such wonderful, demand that people wanted it for home use as well. And this is why we created this body cream that can be purchased and used at home. And of course, it has wonderful benefits because it's not only an anti-aging cream, but it's also a repairing cream for this problem that you see here on the screen, right? Lipoaging. Also, it's wonderful for cellulite when you have, disarray in the fat tissue. So what is lipoaging or lipoaging? Lipoaging is basically when the fat gets disorganized under the skin, it is affected and it gives you an irregular pattern on the surface. This irregular pattern could be cellulite type, or it could be like this one that you see on the photo, which is crepiness, where your skin looks like parchment paper. All right. This can happen to a lot of people, especially when you get older or more mature, but it can happen to people even younger when they have issues with weight gain and weight loss, etc. So why lipoaging happens? Well, it's been actually studied and examined that there is a protein called the PAI1, which is a protein that has to it's a protein that is naturally in the skin. However, what happens is that the adipose tissue, right, which is part of the skin, produces too much of this protein at a certain point, especially when we get older in life. And what happens is that this protein um, causes the fat tissue or the lipidic tissue, if you will, you want to call it that way, right? To be altered, to be changed. And the metabolism of that tissue will change as well. So the point is that if you actually use this protein for goodness, then or for a good purpose, you can actually have great benefits. Like the reason why we still produce it is because, this protein has to do with, the processes of coagulation. Now, when this is out of order, right, or it's not working properly, you can have issues like the ones that you see on the screen, right? The damage to the skin, the change in texture, the rough surface, etc. So the point is to actually think about how we're going to control this PAI1 to avoid this problem, so we can prevent fragmentation of adipose tissue, degradation, skin crepiness, etc. So basically, the solution is one natural ingredient that was found to be really effective, and that ingredient is the longan fruit. I'm going to show it to you in the next slide, but for now, the solution is in this cream, which is the Crepe No More Body Cream, which is a 100% absorbable body cream that is formulated with many natural extracts, and of course provides all the benefits that will support better skin, skin de-aging, and also contouring. So if you want to really tighten your skin or make the skin a little firmer, and at the same time remove excess fat accumulation from underneath, then you can use this product on a daily basis for your entire body. The only area that we do not recommend to apply this product is on the breasts, okay? So you can use it everywhere else, no problem. And it is available for retail, as you can see here, of course, because it's for home use purchase. However, the counterpart in professional is the wrap. The wrap that as a spa you would offer in the no rinse version of this product, right? And then of course it would be ideal if the person came to the spa, received the wrap, the no rinse body wrap Crepe No More, and then they purchase their cream product to take home and continue the effect at home. So it's kind of like a continued regimen from the professional treatment that you offer at the spa. Now, even if they don't come to the spa for any reason, they can still purchase this product and then use it at home under your instructions, so they can actually get benefits. And whenever they want to boost treatment, they can come to the spa and get the no rinse wrap, which of course, if you are familiar with the no rinse wrap, you can do this anywhere where you don't have to have a water source, because that's the beauty of that no rinse wrap. You don't need a water source. You don't need to wash it off. You don't need to rinse it. I mean, it's very easy to perform at any type of spa. So here are the ingredients. We have longan fruit, marine collagen, hyaluronic acid, shea butter, and squalane, right? So what is the longan fruit? The longan fruit is what is known as the dragon's eye, which is a fruit that is very native of Asia, in particularly from China. So the longan fruit is a fruit that contains, nice and very good minerals, like, for example, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, but it also has vitamins, has vitamin B, has vitamin C, and also two of my most precious antioxidants, corellagin and ellagic acid. You see, those are antioxidants in the fruit, or also known as polyphenols, and they can actually have really good antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects, and they can help protect the skin from accelerated aging and at the same time from deterioration caused by mutations, or so has been actually tested. But the reason why we use this in Pevonia is because the fraction of the fruit that contains the corellagin polyphenols, those antioxidants are going to be very effective to actually work against, skin crepiness caused by the PAI1 protein that is overexpressed by the adipose tissue. So as you can see here in a study, it was demonstrated that over a period of a month, the volunteers that actually used this extract from the longan fruit were able to see a reduction in the measurements, of their waistline and thighs. And that reduction was measured very effectively, and it actually showed that it helped to normalized, or at the same time help the metabolism of fat cells. All right. So by helping the metabolism of fat cells and normalizing the situation, you were able to reduce the amount of fat accumulated and improve the skin tightness on the surface. So as a result, the skin looked better and the measurements were also achieved to be less. On top of that, the formulation contains collagen, and of course, collagen is necessary to make the skin more moist and more firm. And of course, as you know, because this is typical of Pevonia, we have been using marine collagen for so many years. I mean, almost since the brand existed. For the first time, we have had collagen in it. And it's been always very good marine collagen, not bovine collagen or from cows, but from fish. However, very purified and very, very good because it is presented in the form of polypeptides for best absorption and for best effects, right? So we include this to improve the skin condition along with longan fruit. At the same time, we add hyaluronic acid. But of course, I already mentioned hyaluronic acid with the sunscreen presentation. So it's pretty much the same information. As you know, hyaluronic is very moisturizing and it helps to maintain a very good water content within the skin, which facilitates the metabolism of other cells within the skin and keeps the skin always plump and looking young and beautiful. So hyaluronic is one of those staple ingredients in skincare and dermatology that everybody loves, right? So of course, we have it there. There's also shea butter in the formula because shea butter can be a wonderful moisturizer, but at the same time, it can actually help improve the metabolism of fat cells. So it is that kind of natural fat that has a benefit over our own fat, but at the same time also protects and helps the outside of the skin. So this is why we include this ingredient in the formula. Now we also have squalane, which if you are familiar with Pevonia, we have used this oil for a long time. This is a lipidic fraction coming from green olives from Spain, and it is very good because it is very compatible with the skin lipids that we have. So it's absolutely compatible. It is completely dissolvable in sebum, right? So it really goes well with the skin, doesn't clog the skin, and it helps the product as well, the texture of the product. But as far as skin goes, it really helps to restore lipids, especially with dry skin, and also reduces the evaporation of water from the skin. It helps to make the skin soft and smooth. So we really, really like it for that reason. So when you put everything together, this is the summary of the benefits of the product. So I just mentioned the key ingredients, but you have to see here that we have a product that is de-aging, that has lipolytic benefits, so it can actually reduce excess fat that has accumulated wrongly or that has caused distortion. It helps to even the skin. It helps to reduce crepiness. It helps to firm and contour, and it's also hydrating and nourishing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you shouldn't apply it over the breasts because it can affect the fat tissue of the breasts. So that's an area that you don't want to go over with. The product can be very quick in the way it acts. So it's good not to do that and take it into consideration. And also, we do not recommend that pregnant women use it. All right. So after pregnancy, when they're already done with it and they have already given, breastfeeding to the baby and all that, then they can start using it if they want to regain their former shape and they want to make the abdomen to tighten up and look better. So how do you use this product? What we recommend is in the morning or the evening, right? Apply over the body after a shower or bath. Remember, skip the area of the breasts, right? Also, do not apply on your face. We recommend to not apply on the face. Massage until completely absorbed and concentrate on areas of concern as needed. All right. Now, if you want faster and better and more even results, we do recommend that you use a body brush to exfoliate the skin before you apply this product. So if you're going to apply, let's say on the legs, because you have legs that you have issues with um, adipose tissue that is not in the proper shape, then you should actually do a little bit of body brushing with a dry body brush and then apply the product afterward. So that would be the information on the Scrape No More product. It's really, really a good product. So I do recommend it, and if you want to use it, especially during the winter time and up to the springtime, so you're ready for the summer, that's the best time of the year to use this product. But if you're not going anywhere this summer, you can still use it. And I do recommend that you apply it on very clean skin. So do some body brushing, get in the shower, and then apply when you come out of the shower, when your skin is still moist, okay? Now, let's see the Clean Refresh Foaming Oil Cleanser. This is a new concept in cleansing for dry skin. So this is very special. It is a new and innovative approach to caring for dry skin from the start. So why do we have this product? And this is the reason, because we are going to address dry skin. So what is dry skin? Dry skin is a skin type that doesn't have the lipids that are essential or the fats that are essential. And what happens is that this condition will make the skin very, lack of elasticity. It will actually make it easier to break, to crack, to be unprotected, less pliable, etc. So in reality, it will affect the skin in many ways, including but not limited to excess sensitivity. And the reason is because when you don't have the protection that is given by the skin barrier, which is practically affected or absent in dry skin, then you're going to have all these nerve endings exposed to the surface without any protection, and you are going to be missing out on the very protective lipids that make sure the skin barrier is strong and that will actually prevent sensitization of the skin from happening. All right. So people with dry skin are more prone to be sensitive, to get red very easily, and to have inflammation very much so. So this is why it's important to consider that dry skin needs to be addressed properly. Now, one other issue of dry skin is dehydration. Of course, dryness and dehydration should not be confused. And this is why I'm mentioning that difference or differentiation here. Dehydration is when you have a partial lack of water content within the skin, which is usually temporary, right? So your skin can be dehydrated, for a period of time. But once you put water back on, then the skin rehydrates and it gets back to normal at that point. However, dryness is more of a condition that is more long-term, right? It's a partial lack of lipid content within the skin that lasts longer. And it's more like a real condition, right? So, dry skin and dehydration can be connected because, of course, one can lead to the other. And what happens here is that dryness leads to dehydration. All right. When you are dry, your skin barrier is affected. It's thinner and it's less present. So what happens is that with a thinner barrier, it's much more easy for the skin to actually evaporate the water. So if you see this particular graphic, you will see that a compromised skin barrier during dry skin conditions will make the skin to lose moisture faster than it should. And then, of course, you will have an issue with protection and with the content of water within the skin. In turn, dehydration will make your skin sensitive as well and irritated. And that irritation can lead to damage inside the skin, damage that affects the layers of the epidermis, and of course, also pigmentation. Dehydration can actually become a trigger along with other factors like, irritation as well, to actually cause pigmentation of the skin. So in many situations, when you rehydrate the skin, you can have less pigmentation or address pigmentation trouble more easily. So in order to address dry skin problems and repair damage and repair the skin barrier, Pevonia offers many solutions for the dry skin condition itself. So as professional options, and you can see here, we have the anti-free radicals mask, we have the rejuvenating vitaminic concentrate ampule, we have the micromotion massage cream, we have the rejuvenating dry skin cream, the dry skin mask, the aromatherapy facial oil dry devitalized skin, and the new de-stress escape aromatic oil, which we will talk after this. Then we have self-care options, which is what you would get for home care. Then you have the clean refresh, which is this presentation we're talking about right now, which is the cleanser, and the de-stress escape oil, which we will talk about after this presentation. So what is the Clean Refresh Foaming Oil Cleanser? The Clean Refresh Foaming Oil Cleanser is a very unique type of formulation that gives a different experience. What happens is that when you talk about a cleanser, you're always thinking of either something creamy, milky, liquidy, or foamy product, right? Something that you apply to your skin that will help you remove makeup, that will help you remove dirt and anything that has actually polluted your skin. And it's an important first step to actually applying a moisturizer or a serum or anything in your skincare routine. So what is the problem? The problem is that with dry skin in particular, when you cleanse, you need to restore lipids into the skin as a first step also, because you cannot just actually ask the moisturizer or the serum to do the whole job. You need to actually fix the problem from the beginning. The beginning is the start of your routine, which is with the cleansing. So normally when you cleanse, you will alter somehow the skin barrier, because you're going to have to remove, all those pollutants and makeup, and usually they have oily components. So in order for you to remove those oily components that are clogging your skin surface, you need to use a product or a surfactant that has the power to take them, bond to them, and remove them upon rinsing. However, that can affect the property of the skin barrier. When we have dry skin, we already have an affected skin barrier, so we shouldn't remove more oils because we already have a lack of oils. So, of course, we have had a dry skin cleanser in the past, but that dry skin cleanser has been replaced by this one, which is superior in the way it works, because this is different technology and is much more appropriate to, keep the benefit of dry skin. So what happens here is that this formula is a very exclusive formula that transforms from an oil into a rich foam, right? To actually help the skin to get very clean, but at the same time, because it's an oil-based product, it will replenish the necessary lipids that your skin needs for that strengthening of the skin barrier. So what I'm trying to say here is that this is a cleanser that is based on an oil, but at the same time can foam. All right. So normally oils do not foam, right? Oils do the opposite of foaming. But if you only had the oil, it wouldn't do much. Or if you only had the foaming, it wouldn't do a good benefit to the skin, because foamers can cause the skin to lose the oils they already have, unless it's a formulation that is protective of the makeup of the skin barrier. When I say makeup, I don't mean makeup as in makeup that you apply. I mean the structure of the skin. So what's very special about this product is the fact that it can transform itself from an oil into a foam, and at the same time as it cleanses, it leaves a layer of lipids that are clean and necessary for your skin to repair faster. So the goodness about this product is that from the very beginning of your routine, you are going to be strengthening and repairing your skin barrier. So that's why this cleanser is superior to other dry skin cleansers before. All right. This cleanser will be already a step forward into making your dry skin less dry. So you add up a little bit. So you have this benefit now, and then you apply your serum, which could be the vitaminic concentrate, which will replenish more lipids. And then you put on a moisturizer, which is intended for dry skin. So then your dry skin will feel better, less irritated, less sensitized, and more flexible, better, more just nicer, healthier, and even more rejuvenated, because the more oil you put back into dry skin, the less lines and wrinkles are going to show. All right. And that's one dreaded consequence of dry skin. Your skin will have more lines and wrinkles, which you don't want to have. All right. So we recommend this cleanser for all skin types, especially dry skin. And that's the main reason why we have it. So here are the ingredients for this cleanser. The cocamidopropyl hydroxysultane. We have safflower oil, squalane oil, kombucha, hyaluronic acid, arnica, green tea, and grapefruit oil. All right. So what we have here basically is, a compound of ingredients that are going to do, the benefits of this product. The cocamidopropyl hydroxysultane is a natural foaming agent derived from coconut, right? So it comes from coconut. And what it does is to help, the skin to actually cleanse and, change the structure of the skin barrier by depositing the lipids that will make it stronger and less thin. So make it a little thicker as well, but from the good point of view. So along with other supportive surfactants and base oils in this formula, when this surfactant, the cocamidopropyl hydroxysultane, interacts with oil and mixes with warm water, it will transform into from an oil into a rich foamy lather that will entrap skin surface pollutants. And of course, dead cells at the same time will go into that, formulation and go away when you actually rinse. So it will release the friendly lipids that lubricate and restore your skin barrier in the process, making the skin healthier, right? So this is why I like this cleanser so much. And it also renders the skin superbly clean, moisturized, soft, and supple. I have to tell you that I don't have dry skin. My skin is more combination to oily, depending on the time of the year. And I have used this cleanser and I feel like it leaves my skin really well. I don't feel like a residue of oil on my skin. Of course, I wouldn't recommend for someone excessively oily because that's why we have the Phyto Gel, right? But for all skin types, this cleanser can still work out. But if you are dry and mature, or even not mature, you could be dry and young, you still can use this product and you will have wonderful benefits. On top of this, we have safflower oil, which will be also part of the formula. And as you know, it has a lot of linoleic acid, so it's very good for the skin. It lubricates, restores the composition of the skin barrier, and at the same time will combat dryness and will be used as a vehicle for other actives to penetrate into the skin. Now, on top of that, it will smooth out the skin and be totally non-comedogenic, which is something we're looking after. Squalane, we already mentioned because, of course, it is derived from olives, right? We mentioned that before with the sunscreen. And of course, it provides the skin with vitamins. It's compatible with the sebum and softens and smooths the skin, etc. So we have it there to make it absolutely more replenishing for lipids. We have kombucha, which we, of course, have used before. And this is an ingredient that it's very prevalent in the Lumaferm line. Right now, kombucha, in this sense, it's utilized because it helps to facilitate lipid accumulation to restore volume into the skin. So kombucha also provides very important lipids that are necessary when you have a lack of lipids, such in the case of dry skin. It helps repair and moisturize the skin while it's firming it, all right? So of course, you know that kombucha comes from the fermentation of sweet black tea in the presence of a yeast and also a bacterium, which is known as Saccharomyces solanum, right? And of course, this is something that is very good and known in the natural world because people tend to drink this tea for benefits of their digestive system, among other benefits, of course. Hyaluronic acid, you already know it, and we have discussed it already. So we have it in the product. So I'm not going to explain it again because you know better now. Arnica. We have arnica in the product, and this is a wonderful known anti-inflammatory natural extract, which is rich in essential oils and fatty acids, and it's known to produce vasoconstriction, which is known to reduce bruising. Now, why would we have arnica in a dry skin cleanser? Well, the reason is because it helps to support wound healing and restore. That means the skin barrier is affected in dry skin. So it's like a wound, right? We need to heal the skin barrier, which leads to sensitivity. So arnica will start the healing process when you're doing the cleansing by providing all these essential oils and fatty acids that are healing to the skin. So that's why we want to put it there, and also to help reduce flakiness, because dry skin tends to actually flake because the skin cells, when they're dry, they come off and exfoliate faster because there's nothing in the terms of moisture that can hold them together because the skin is also dehydrated, right? Green tea, we have already talked about, so I'm not going to really talk too much on this particular product again. You know, we love it for the property of antioxidation. We have grapefruit oil. This one is a new one for this product. This comes from, of course, the peel of the grapefruit. And the reason why we use it is because it is a natural potent anti-inflammatory. So it's great to combat the irritation that dry skins actually have. And of course, has antioxidant properties. It is very nice because it's aromatic, so it smells really good. It comforts the clean refresh product with a nice, you know, upbeat aroma that is, you know, very nice to smell and feel, right? It is also really good because of the astringent and toning properties, so it will firm the skin. It has antiseptic benefits in terms of like if someone has the excess of bacteria on the surface, it will take care of that a little bit, and also brightens and clarifies. So it will actually leave the skin looking very even and, you know, uniform in tone. So with that said, this is the summary of the cleanser. It's a cleanser that does not affect the skin's pH. This is very important. You should never use a cleanser, or if you have to use it, try to not use it for a very long time. Any cleanser with a high pH. All right. So you must use a cleanser with a low pH, a cleanser that is more pH balanced, meaning friendly with the skin's acidic pH. The reason is because that protects the skin barrier. The higher the pH, the more the stripping of the skin barrier and the more the dryness. So we have to be careful about that. Now, it does reduce irritation and flakiness, leaves the skin fresh, hydrated, smooth, supple, and it is family friendly. So when you start using this cleanser, if you have dry skin, especially during the winter, you are going to feel your skin feels more relaxed when you cleanse. It will feel less dry after cleansing, and you will feel more protected as well. It will feel more comfortable, and that's a good expression. So how you use it is very simple. You start with applying a pea-sized amount of cleanser to the hands. You add a little bit of warm water, and then you foam it in the hands. This is important. You have to foam it in your hands, not on your face, right? Don't apply the cleanser straight to your face. No, apply it to your hand, add the water to your hand, and then foam it in your hand, all right? When you create a good lather, then apply to your face. All right. Do not wet the skin of the face. Just apply the lather directly to your face. If you apply water to your face before you apply the cleanser, what's going to happen is that it's going to slide off because this cleanser has an oil base. So remember that. Has to go straight on dry skin. Okay. And then you can apply it on the neck as well. Now, make sure you work it with your fingertips to emulsify makeup and all the impurities, etc., so they get entrapped and rinsed off. But then when you rinse, use tepid water. All right, so tap it to warm, but not too hot because you will strip off all the lipids, not too cold because you will harden the cleanser. I mean, not harden, but you will make it thicker. So make sure you use a proper Pevonia lotion after that goes according to your skin type. Because we have eliminated at this point the remaining stock of dry skin lotion, you can still use any Pevonia lotion of choice, but I do recommend for dry skin in particular, the basic dry sensitive skin lotion. So you can use the Clean Refresh Cleanser with the sensitive skin lotion. All right. Now, to finish our presentation for today, we have the De-Stress Escape Aromatic Oil. And this is the new comer to the dry skin regimen that we have included. As you can see here, we have a new oil that is a combination of wonderful ingredients. We'll see that in a moment. And it comes in both retail and professional applications. So the professional application is great for your spa, and the retail, of course, to use at home. So what is this new Distress Escape aromatic oil? Basically, it is a premium, delicate blend of natural oils that help to reduce dryness and dehydration while invigorating the skin. What you get is a combination of botanicals, right, that will help to soothe, calm, relax, brighten, and protect the skin barrier for ongoing optimal skin health. But one thing that you must know is that this oil has aromatherapy functions. All right. So the aromatherapy benefit of this oil is to actually help you relax from stress. So the reason why this oil was created in particular was because of the pandemic of last year, and that we still have this year, right? It's less now, but everybody got so stressed out with all the problems that something needed to be created to help people relax. And since many people couldn't go to the spas, if they had a chance, this would be their chance to really, really relax. Now, they could do it also at home. So this oil is very relaxing from the moment you actually intake the aromatherapy benefit that it provides. So this oil is very good because you can use it for aromatherapy, for restoration of dry skin, for boosting of a healthy skin barrier, and also you can use it for massage. You can use it for facial massage, but you can also use it for body applications. All right. So I thoroughly recommend this oil for the winter time, especially in the case of northern latitudes. You should use it almost on a daily basis. You could use it, let's say, during the day, and then use the vitaminic in at night, or vice versa, the way that works better for you. So what we have here is a combination of very nice ingredients: safflower, lavender, grapefruit again, chamomile, rose flower oil, squalane, and vitamin E. Of course, these derivatives are very pure. The safflower you already know because we have discussed it already. This is going to be the base of this formulation. So safflower will be the base carrying the other oils, right? So it will help restore the skin barrier. It will help provide healthy lipids to the skin. It will actually smooth it, make it nice, etc. Then you will have the benefit and aromatherapy effect of lavender, where you will have a very unique feeling of relaxation, which will calm you, heal you, and soothe while promoting a healthy skin barrier. This lavender, of course, is pure from France, and of course will be highly purified for the most complete benefit or effect. On top of that, you will have the grapefruit oil, which will be uplifting. At the same time, it will have all the benefits that we actually studied right before with the cleanser. So we know that it will give additional benefits to the skin from the point of view of reducing inflammation or irritation, and at the same time evening out the skin tone. One thing is that this grapefruit oil will actually remain as part of the important smell that you will find in the blend of the oil. When you smell it in the aromatherapy benefit, of course, you will pick up the lavender scent, but you will also pick up the grapefruit scent because it's a strong aroma that will prevail. So it has the citrus aroma. All right. Now, we also have chamomile oil. And this chamomile oil will actually be very good for skin irritation, for discomfort, to heal, to nourish, to moisturize, to soothe, and of course, make sure that that skin barrier is strengthened. Then we have the addition of rose flower oil. This comes from the French Rosa gallica flower. The reason for picking up this particular type of rose is because it's the most aromatic and fragrant type of essence that can be given by a rose type. And plus, it has regenerated, calming, and antiseptic properties, which we need for dry skin repair. But at the same time, rose has an aromatherapy benefit of giving you a sense of well-being, calm, and at the same time, tranquility. So it's an aroma that draws people to feel good. In addition, we have squalane. Of course, we have discussed it. As you know, we really have squalane in many products in Pevonia because it's so good as a compatible lipid source for the skin, right? So all these vitamins, all this restoration of, goodness and antioxidants, and at the same time reducing the evaporation of water, making the skin more moist. This is a wonderful advantage, and so we continue using it. Of course, because it is an oil, it is compatible with this formula, which is only a blend of these pure oils. And we have vitamin E, which is also an oil, right? And vitamin E, as you know, is very important for healing. It's a scavenger of free radicals, so it actually takes care of them and neutralizes them, protects the cell membranes from damage, nourishes, also helps with moisturization, and helps to really leave the skin repair. So this is giving you a benefit from every front. When you analyze how the product works, it just makes sense. So in summary, these are the benefits of the oil. It is a formula that, even though it is based on a blend of oils, it is non-greasy. This is important. So it won't leave your skin feeling greasy. It will absorb very well. And that's because of the refined formulation. It absorbs easily. You can use it for massage, right? It's de-stressing. It will make you feel relaxed. It will moisturize your skin almost immediately. It will be a great treatment booster. It will reduce flakiness as well and irritation. Also will help remove that sensation of tightness from the skin when it's dry. It will restore and strengthen the skin barrier and leave the skin smooth and supple. If you have an issue with the upper lip being very dry or cracking, you can apply a very tiny drop of this oil and massage it over the upper lip. All right. And you will feel immediate help in that area. Of course, if you apply a moisturizer after, then it will be great because you will still have that double layer of protection. Now, for professional use, of course, we have the presentation that comes in this dropper. How you use it is, well, for massage, you can use it for the wellness fusion inhalation ritual. All you have to do is just put it in your hands and move it over the nose of the client or the guest, right? So you can do this and have them breathe in the scent of the oil for the aromatherapy benefit. You can do that for about a minute. So, and that will help ease stress. Now, if you are going to use it for an aromatherapy massage, you can actually dilute from 5 to 10 of these drops in a carrier oil. So if you have your preferred carrier oil, you can use Palladium Clarity oil as a carrier, and you can dilute the oil in it. But this oil, can be used directly on the skin because it is a blend. So it is safe. But if you want to do it as a massage, then just by adding from 5 to 10 drops into a cup of carrier oil for the whole body or less for your whole face, then you can do so. If you want to warm up the oil, you can do so, but do not heat it up. All right, don't make it very hot. Just warm it a little bit. Let's say for a situation where the environment is very cold, you want to feel a little bit of warmth from the oil, you can do so. All right, but don't heat it. You can use it with cream masks after you apply after an ampule, right? You massage well for full absorption, and then you blot off the excess, and then you put the cream mask. So if you're doing a facial and you want to boost the aromatherapy benefit, or you want to boost the anti-dryness effect, so do your ampule, apply your ampule as part of your facial, apply the oil, massage well, remove any excess from the surface, and then put the mask. Okay, then you put the mask on. Now, I do recommend that you stay away from using this oil when you're doing peels, when you're doing freeze-dried treatments, when you are putting this under high performance masks, such as soft lift-offs, hard lift-offs, and fiber masks, okay? And if you are going to use the microemulsion massage cream, you have to choose whether you want to use the massage cream or if you want to use the oil for massage. But don't use both combined, because the massage cream has its own scent and the oil has its very particular scent. If you combine both scents together, it can actually create an unpleasant scent that you may not want to leave on your skin. Okay? So here is, of course, the step-by-step of the new De-Stress Escape massage or aromatherapy facial, where you can do a massage, etc. And it's actually included in the technical manual, but we have it also for direct use if you require as a PDF. We also have instructions for the retail version, which is the smaller formulation, 15 ml. So what you do it after you cleanse, you know, with your Pevonia cleanser, in this case, you would use the Clean Refresh if you're in the dry skin regimen, right? Then what you would do is apply 1 to 2 drops all over the face and neck, and then massage until it's fully absorbed. You will not put this oil close to the eye contour. Of course, stay away from that area. You can apply in the evening or as desired. And of course, if your guest wants the rejuvenating vitamin E concentrate, they can use that in the morning. I said that earlier, right? You can use that in the morning. You can use the oil at night or vice versa, right? But it would be better for the oil maybe to be used at night because it will be more repairing during the time you're sleeping versus the vitaminic during the day. It's better to use the oil by itself and apply in layers versus mixing with the cream. So bear that into consideration. Also, you can apply to the wrists if you want to for aromatic scent. You can apply to the wrist a few drops. You can put it behind the ears if you want to, and that will help also give you a relaxing scent. And of course, you can use it as a localized massage at home, even for the shoulders or the back of the neck if you have tension you want to get rid of. Okay, so you can have that benefit also. So that is the conclusion of our presentation for today's session. So I hope it was actually informative and that you really liked it. But of course, I'm open to your questions if you want to ask any questions right now. If you don't have any questions, then feel free to contact, Cecilia, and then you can have Cecilia be the messenger for me, right? She can actually, provide you with any additional information through me. And then, of course, if you request any of the materials that you've seen in the presentation, just let me know through Cecilia. She can reach out to me and then I can provide that for you. So I hope that this review has given you a better outlook on what we're doing right now. And Pevonia is working this year on a new acne line that is going to be really, really good, especially wonderful for everybody and mostly adults that suffer from late acne or the type of acne that comes with menopause, right? So we will have that actually later this year if things go as planned. Of course, there are limitations with operations throughout the world for the ingredients and all that. Well, you know what's going on around the world. So right now we're doing the best we can, but we're always trying to innovate, improve, enhance, etc. So that's what we are really feeling good about doing. But so it's up to you if you have any questions right now. Other than that, I feel very happy to have had this opportunity to interact with you once more. And I hope to see you again in the near future with another class, of course. So
Thank you very much.
it's my pleasure. I'm very happy to do so.
Jag kommer lägga ut föreläsningen på hemsidan inom några dagar så att ni kan lyssna på den igen. Det är en sån här man behöver lyssna på flera gånger för att det ska sätta sig. I just told them that I will put the lecture on our website so they can watch it again.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It will be my pleasure. And I am so happy to see you again. And if you have any questions, please stay in touch.
We will. Thank you very much.
Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. See you next time.